We will learn another beautiful piece of Zera Shimshon Lkovod Shabbos Chanukah this week, Parshas Mikeitz. When the Zera Shimshon begins the Divrei Torah on this week's Parsha, Parshas Mikeitz, he immediately has the first two Isias, Aleph and Beis, about the Yom Tov of Chanukah, and he says a very beautiful thought of why he's starting first from the inyan of Chanukah before he goes to Mikeitz, because Chanukah has in it a tremendous inyan of Persumei Nisa, of being mefarsim the nest of the Rabbeinu Shalom, and Persumei Nisa Odif Lon Leakdume. It is better for us to bring that first, even before we bring the Parshas Mikeitz. He's taking this as a paraphrase from the Gemara in Shabbos Taf Chof Gimel Amud Beis, where the Gemara discusses if you only have enough oil to light either near Shabbos or near Chanukah, what should you do? And the Gemara says near Chanukah Adif is better, Mishum Persumei Nisa, because Persumei Nisa Adif is even more important than near Shabbos, which has to do with Shalom Bayis. So he says, first of all, I want to start because of Persumei Nisa. And secondly, don't think that Chanukah and Mikeitz are not connected. Of course they are connected. Shelefio Emes Inyan Chanukah Korev LeInyan Mechiras Yosef. Mikeitz is talking about the Inyan of Yosef and trying to be metake and fix up the period that was between him and his brothers through the Mechiras Yosef. And he's trying his hardest to get it fixed up. And the inyan of Chanukah is very close to the inyan of Mechiras Yosef, and we will see what he says, why. He says, V'zeu atam shebala oilam min parshas Mikeitz v'Chanukah. That's one of the reasons why always you find, almost every time, you find the Parshas Mikeitz comes out on Chanukah. And now it brings you the connection. Also, there is a remez to Yosef on Chanukah by the fact that we do Moisifim ve'Cholchim. Like Beis Hillel, first day we go one, and the second day we go up. Moisif ve'Oilech is the name of Yosef also. But he says the Yesod is based on a Megale Amukos who writes a sefer on Parshas V'Eschanan on the first pasuk, and he has it in Reish Nun Beis Oifanim to explain it. A lot of them very much Kabbalistic. And in Oif and Samach Vav and Reish Nun Beis, he says a very interesting thing. He says that in the time of Yavan, Nischadesh Avoin Mechiras Yosef, there were times that they were reawakened the Avoin of Mechiras Yosef, like we find later on by the Asara Haruge Malchus, which we mentioned on Yom Kippur by Musaf in the Avodah, and also in Tisha B'Av. Those Asar Aruge Malchus has to do with the inyan of Mechiras Yosef, and it's a very famous Chidah, brings from the Friedeke, from even the previous ones, who say what Yosef says to the brothers, Ve'ato al te'otzvu, and now do not be sad about what you sold me to Mitzrayim, and that's what there's a whole arichas over there in Parshas Vayigash, the coming Parsha. However, it says, Ve'ata, now you will not be sad about it, but there will be times when you will have what to be sad about Mechiras Yosef, because there'll be Gezeiros. And here he has another very interesting one, that in the time of Yavan, Nischadesh Avoin Mechiras Yosef was Nischadesh again, the Avoin of Mechiras Yosef. And he proves it from a few gematrias. He says the word Antiochus was the king of the Yavanim and made the Gezeiros. Antiochus is the gematria Yosef. The two words Melech Yavan is gematria Yosef. And he says the Gezeiros also had to do with Yosef, because the Gezeirah was, like the LeMizvot says in Bereishis Rabbah, that they were to write Al Keren Hashoyer She'ein Lechem Chelek B'Elokei Yisrael, that you don't have a Chelek in Elokei Yisrael. They were mefarsim the Kfira of the Yavanim and the Goyim on a shore dafka, only on a ox. And what's the meaning of an ox? The shore is a remez to Yosef, because Yosef is called Bechor Soyrei Hadar Loi, and Yosef HaTzadik is shore. And Rabbi Isai, so even the Gematrias and the Gezeiros all point to Yosef. And then he says the following. He says something very interesting. There were many years that the Beis HaMikdash Hasheni was existing, and there was a year called Reish Yud Gimel, and that year, 213th year from the Binyan Bayis Sheni, then there was the beginning of the Gezeiros of Antiochus and Yavanim, and this is what he's going to bring later on. And he says that's a remez that Lavan was Miramis to Yaakov Avinu when he came back coming back to Eretz Yisrael, and he says to him, they made a pact between them, a bris, and they made a heap of stones as a testimony that they will not pass over for bad, either he or to them, or them to he, whoever it might be. And Yaakov calls it Gal Eid. Lavan says it's Yegar Sahadusa, which is in Aramaic. Gal, Yegar is a heap. Sahadusa is Eid, Eidus in Aramaic. We'll talk a little more about it later on. And he says the word Yegar is the gematria Reish Yud Gimel. So he says the Lavan was Miramis, the Inyan of the Shnas Reish Yud Gimel, with the Inyan of the Yavanim to Yaakov Avinu, then by the bris that he made in Parshas Vayetze. And very interesting, it was Dafka the year of Reish Yud Gimel. Says, this is as far as the Megal Amukas says it. However, comes the Zera Shimshon, this is a beautiful pshat. You know why it was Dafka the year Reish Yud Gimel? So he starts talking about a Zohar Kodesh. The Zohar Parshas Vayeshev, Zohar Kodesh, Vayeshev, Memtes Amud Aleph says the Golos Mitzrayim was in the sin of Mechiras Yosef, and he says that's what the Yidden left of Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them inyanim that will be metaken, what brought the Golos Mitzrayim, which is inyanim that will be metaken, the inyan of Mechiras Yosef, and he says that was what Hashem gave to them this Shabbos. Shabbos is the midah of Yosef. And we find this in this week's parsha that Yosef HaTzadik was shomer the Shabbos in Mitzrayim, and it says utvoach tevach vehochein. He was preparing for Shabbos, like the Midrash says, because they were going to eat on Shabbos together. And Rabbi Yisai, Yosef HaTzadik has to do with the union of Shabbos, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Shabbos to Klal Yisrael when they left Mitzrayim in order to be metaken the union of Mechiras Yosef, which brought to the Golos. And he says, since the Golos Mitzrayim was the shirish, the source of all Goliath, so as long as they kept the Shabbos, they were able to stay in a matzav of Geula. However, when they were not shayim the Shabbos, nigzar aleim Golus Bavel. So that's what he says. The first point, that it was this ayrer in a matzav of Chilul Shabbos. But then he says it was Chazav and his ayrer by Yesheni through Sinas Chinam, which was Bineim, and we know that the Churban by Yesheni was Sinas Chinam, and that was like the Chet HaShvatim, which says V'yisneu Oisai, they hated Yosef. That's what the pasuk says. So, of Pirud, splitting between Klal Yisrael and hatred, and that is what's brought about the Churban, and that's brought about Mechiras Yosef. So he says over here, the Zera Shimshon, a very interesting chiddush. And I feel, he says, when did it happen? The period started in the Bayesheni, was in the year Reish Yud Gimel, meaning because the word before Reish Yud Gimel is Reish Yud Beis, which is the word Riv. Riv is Meriva, it's quarrel. It is machlokes. Al Riv Bnei Yisrael is a pasuk on the quarreling of Bnei Yisrael, and Riv is gematria Reish Yud Beis. And when Klal Yisrael came to a matzav of Riv, so then in the year Reish Yud Gimel was this ayrer, the inyan of Mechiras Yosef, and Ba'aleim anti Yoiches, and he was goyzer gzeiris, and he shechted on the Mizbeach Hashem a chazer Rachmanu Litzlan, a dover acher, in order to chase away the Shechina from there. And he was also goyzer levatum and Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh Umila, and all these have to do with the kapara on Mechiras Yosef. How? So he says Shabbos is like we said, because Shabbos has to do with Yosef. We see Yosef kept Shabbos in Mitzrayim. Rosh Chodesh, he says, it also has to do with Yosef, because you bring in Rosh Chodesh a Sa'ir, and the Zera Pinchas Reish Memches Amad Aleph says it's Keneged Yosef, and he says it's to be Mechaper and the Sir Izim that they shechted when they sold him, and this is Klal Yisrael bringing Sa'ir on Sir Chatos every Rosh Chodesh, and it's all Klal Yisrael who are Yud Beis Shvatim or Yud Gimel Shvatim, and it's also Rosh Chadashim, which are Yud Beis Chadashim in the year, Keneged Yud Beis Shvatim. And he says why 12 they have to bring, or really only 10 sinned, because Yosef and Binyamin were not part of it. However, there's a Gemara in Hayvias Perak Aleph, Hey Amad Aleph, the Gemara says that those that didn't sin also bring together with the sinners. They bring on the sinners, as it says in Parhel and Dover Shel Ksivur. And sometimes it's even not 12 months, but it's 13 months, Keneged Mashav Ephraim. And this is the Indian of Rosh Chodesh, has to do with the Indian of Yosef and Tikkun HaMechiras Yosef. And he says Mila is, of course, Tikkun HaMechiras Yosef, Inyan of Yosef, because that was the Midah of Yosef. Because we find that Yosef and Mila is the Inyan of Kedusha, of the world of materialism, and you Mekadesh the world of materialism through Mila. And Yosef was Yesoid, his Midah is Yesoid, and Yosef HaTzadik was Oimid ben Nisayan of Yesoid in Mitzrayim, and since Yesoid is what brings the great Hashpais from all Mekar of Kedusha Lamala, so Yosef became the Mashbir of Mitzrayim, and the Koach speaks about it later on in Parshas Vayigash, and says that Yosef tells the brothers, don't be sad that you sold me Hena here to a place of Tumah, of Arayas, Dafkas, Ervas HaOretz, Mitzrayim, because Dafka here I was even been Nisayan of Kedusha, and I had been Mevarer the Kedusha by me, I strengthened the Kedusha by me, and I was able to Midas HaKedusha, the Poyal, and this way I was able to bring all the Ashpois down, that's what the Koach speaks about it, and he says that you see that Yosef was so much into the union of Kedusha of Mila, that he actually made all Mitzrayim be Nimoil in order to decrease the Pagam of Kedusha that there was in Mitzrayim, in order to make it as Klal Yisrael be able to exist there and not fall into the Nisyonis of Kedusha. You shouldn't fall when they have the Nisyonis of Kedusha. And this, Rabbi say, is all these inyanim, Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, and Mila have to do with the inyan of Mechiras Yosef, which came about because it was this Eira on the year Riv, the inyan of the Mechiras Yosef. And then he adds one more piece, and he says, and it's Yadua, Shevachol HaMitzvahs, there are only three that are Oisais, which are Tefillin, Shabbos, and Mila. And we know that we have to have two Oisais, two signs that show us that we're connected to Hashem and we're doing His mitzvahs, and that are the Oisais, which are Tefillin, Shabbos, and Mila, and Apishnayim Eidim Yakum Davar. And therefore, it says in the Kadmainim that Shabbos and Yom Tov we don't put tefillin on because we have the two oisais of Shabbos and Mila. However, in the week we don't have the Shabbos, so then we have tefillin and Mila. So it says the Zera Shimshon, but once the Avanim were mevatel Shabbos and Mila, so now Rahman al-Tzlan is only one ois left, which is tefillin, and 1/8 doesn't help at all, and therefore he says, they were able to write out Karen Hashor, which has to do with the whole union of the bittul mitzvahs, of these mitzvahs, had to do with the union of Mechiras Yosef, and that was Al Karen Hashor, which Shor is Yosef, and now in Lechem Chelik V'Lekei Yisrael, you have nothing that's showing that you're connected to Lekei Yisrael, because you don't have your two Eidim that are Yokum Davar, that are Mevarer, that you are Shel Lekei Yisrael. However, Baruch Hashem, the Yavanim did not win over us, because they were Chashmeinoim were Moisei Nefesh, and they were Goiver, and they became stronger over the Yavanim. They were Metkakin the Pagam, they brought Achta Sakkal Yisrael, and they were Madlik Neiros, and the nest was done in the Shemen, which is oil. And what came out from the darkness, the Afela came out Oira. Zok the Zera Shimshon Oira, the word Oira is Gematria ratio of days. Riv is Meramis, they were Metakin, this is they were Pagim in the minion of Riv. So Rabbi say, Chanukah is a time to have Achdus, unity. And actually we think about other Yidden as the same as we go and light the street, we light outside. Why are we lighting out the outside? Because there are Yidden that are on the outside that we have to be Mekarev, and we have to bring them close to Hashem, and we have to care about everyone, and that is the union of Achdus instead of Piru, to live together with Klal Yisrael. And this is also the connection between Chanukah and Sukkot, that it says in the Medrash Chashmeinoim that the Chashmeinoim decided that they're going to make Chanukah 8 days, Keneged the Yom Tov, the greatest Yom Tov B'Doraisa, which is Sukkot together, which means Atzeres, which is 8 days, and 8 Keneged 8. And we all know that Sukkot has an union of caring about others. We found that in Kol Yisrael, Ru'uyim Leishe V'Sukkah Hachas, we bring everyone into one sukkah, and also the fact that we have the Arba Minim, which are connected to different types of Jews, different facets, different types of Yidden, Eidos, and different Madregos, and we're saying to put them all together and let them all rise together. Yechapru Elu al Elu, Yeroimimu Elu es Elu. And that is really what we're trying to do over here. We're trying to come back to Achdus. I want to add one more point, and that is that we know that as we started mention the fact that this Indian had to do with Yaakov and Lavan. And we also find that Yaakov Avinu had a lot to do with the Indian of Golus Yavan by Yivasa Yaakov Levadoi, as the Kadmonim speak Ba'arichus about it in Parshas Vayishlach. However, here you find it had to do with Lavan itself, and Lavan was trying to mix the Yidden together with the Goyim. He's saying Habonis Benoisai, Habonim Bonai, we're all together. Let's make a bris and be together. And that's why he called it Yegar Sadusa, which is Aramaic. It's closer to Lashon Kodesh, but it's bringing down the Yidden of Lashon Kodesh to Aramaic. In other words, connecting them to the Goyim. And that's what Lavan was trying the whole time to do. Yaakov says, no way. It's not going to be Yegar Sadusa. It's going to be Gal Eid Lashon Kodesh. That's what the Sephornai says on the spot over there in Parshas Vayetze. And later, Lavan himself says, Eid Hagal Hazeh. And he used the Lashon of Yaakov Avinu, and that is Shenichna Lavan LeYaakov. And it's Miramis, Ma'asavesim and Lebanim, the Yavanim trying to take away the Yidden from their uniqueness, from being connected to the Rabbeinu Shalom, from being separate. And they were trying to mix them in together with the Goyim. And then the Chashmonaim are going to win over them, and they're not going to be able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. So Rabbi Isai, this is the Givaldic Inyan that we have over here in Chanukah, that we be able to be separate. And here we add this point over here, that one of the biggest nekudos that has to do with the uniqueness of the Yid is the fact that a Jew, Klal Yisrael, is a nation of Echad. And Megala After Tabayri, they live as one. That's why it says by Yaakov Shivim Nofesh, 70 Nefesh, Lashon Yochid. By Esav it says Sheish Nefashois Lashon Rabim, and Rashi says so in Parshas Vayigash, that Goyim are Pirud, Klal Yisrael is Ichud. And when it's this Eira over here, the union of Mechiras Yosef, which is Pirud, so the Yavanim were trying to mix Klal Yisrael to the Goyim and bring them into the world of Pirud, the same as the Goyim. So all this of the Zera Shimshon spoke about Pirud and Ichud is all connected to the great plan of Yavanim to mix Klal Yisrael into them. And Baruch Hashem, we remain separate, and this is one of the great things that we do on Chanukah. We think about others, and even as we give tzedakah, when we like the neighbors, as the remez that it says, V'yinoyam Hashem Elokeinu Aleinu, we have the sweetness of the Shekhinah coming to our house with Adlakas Chanukah. Noam is Rosh Tevis, Chasam Sofer brings that Nun is near Chanukah, the Mem is Mezuzah, which is on the right, near Chanukah is on the smile, the Ayin is the Ani in the middle, the poor man that we're caring about. And Rabbi Isai, we all will get the aura of the Chanukah like it should be. We'll be Zoichet to Givaldik and Nisim, as we know that we can never daven for Nisim. However, the Tvus Shor says, by Verchas Hamazin, there is a part where it says, Horachamon, Uyatsalanu Nisim and Iflais, Kemaisha Sisul Aviseinu, Vayom name is Manazet. It's a man of Nisim, it's a man of Yugim Umidis, it's a man of tremendous Yeshuot, because His brother should help. We should be Zoichet to all the Yeshuot, and be Zoichet to what Chanukah is Lashon, to begin. We're beginning the Or of Lasid Lava, as we said in Vnei Yisaschar Ba'arichus, we be Zoichet to the Oragonus, to the Gula Shlema, Bimheira, B'yameinu, Amen, Kein, Yehi, Ratzain. Good Shabbos Chanukah to everyone. Happy Chanukah.